Alex Eala versus Leylah Fernandez is a blockbuster first-round matchup over at Stuttgart for 2026, and both players are having completely different seasons so far.
A 7-month pregnant woman traveled 4 hours across Germany just to watch this match. That is what Alexandra Eala does to people. World number 45, 20 years old, a career high of number 29 just weeks ago. Sliding backward on the rankings and desperate to stop the bleeding. One win in Stuttgart would have launched her back to 38.
And not for the first time, almost beaten by the lack of pace on serve. So, victory.
A quarter-final run? Back inside the top 30. The math was clean. The momentum felt unbreakable. Then the draw posted it. Alexandra Eala versus Leylah Fernandez. First round, Stuttgart. And nobody saw what was coming, because Fernandez was not the dangerous one going in. 4 wins, 9 losses in 2026. Bageled 6-0 in Charleston just weeks before this. The tennis world had completely buried her. Even Fernandez herself, before this match, publicly called Eala an amazing player. That is not what a threat sounds like. That is what a finished player sounds like. The clash that could surprise tennis had every reason to go one way. It went the other. Before we break down exactly what happened on that court, subscribe right now. This channel does not do comfortable takes. What you are about to find out will change how you see both players. The first thing you need to understand is what was actually at stake for Eala walking into that arena. Not just a match, a ranking calculation that had been eating at her for 3 weeks. She had hit a career high of number 29 on March 16th. Then Miami happened. She dropped 270 points, failing to defend her semifinal from the previous year. Then Linz happened, another early exit. By the time Stuttgart arrived, she was sitting at number 45. One win against Fernandez would have pushed her back to 38. A quarterfinal run would have put her back inside the top 32. The math was sitting right there. Fernandez was supposed to be the easy part of that math. And that assumption, held by almost every analyst, every prediction column, every betting market published before Monday, is exactly what made what happened next so brutal to watch. Fernandez broke Eala's serve in the very first game. No warning, no settling in period. She walked to the baseline and immediately began doing something Eala had no prepared answer for. Every ball Fernandez hit landed high and heavy into Eala's backhand corner. Left-handed topspin against a left-handed opponent does not behave the way most players practice against. The trajectory kicks differently. The bounce sits up at an angle that disrupts timing on the return. Eala was not just losing points, she was being repositioned into situations where generating her own pace became nearly impossible. By the time the scoreboard read 4-0, the Filipino fans inside that Stuttgart arena had gone quiet. One of them had traveled nearly 4 hours to be in that building, 7 months pregnant. Watching the player she came to support getting systematically dismantled before the match found any rhythm at all. Eala held in the 6th game. It was the only breath she took in that entire first set. Fernandez closed it out 6-1, 23 minutes. The second set opened differently. Eala held her first service game. Fernandez held. Eala held again. For about 12 minutes, Stuttgart looked like it might become a genuine contest. The Filipino supporters found their voice. Anyone watching felt the possibility that Eala had made the necessary adjustments at the changeover. Then Fernandez broke in the 3rd game and the match returned to the pattern she had established from the opening point. She moved to 3-1, then 4-1, then 5-2. She stepped up to serve for the match and got broken. Eala broke back, held her own serve, and dragged the second set to 4-5. Down 0-30 in the 10th game, Fernandez faced the exact moment where a player carrying 9 losses in 2026 could have crumbled. She did not. She constructed 3 consecutive points through placement and patience and closed the match out on her second opportunity. The numbers confirmed what the scoreline suggested. Fernandez won 61% of her second serve points. Eala won 38% of hers. That 23-point gap did not happen by accident. Fernandez attacked Eala's second serve relentlessly, and Eala never found a consistent answer. Fernandez converted 4 of 8 break points. Eala converted 1 from 3. In 88 minutes and 109 total points, Eala won 46 of them. Now here is what those numbers actually mean beyond the scoreline. Eala's 14 wins this season before Stuttgart all came on hard courts. Auckland, Dubai, Indian Wells, Miami. Hard courts reward the explosive, flat ball striking that Eala has built her game around. Clay does the opposite. It slows the ball, it extends rallies, it rewards players who generate heavy topspin and absorb pace rather than redirect it. Eala walked into Stuttgart having played exactly one clay tournament this season, Linz, where she surrendered a 5-1 second set lead and lost in round 2. The surface question surrounding Eala is not new. It has been sitting quietly underneath every hard court headline since her breakthrough. Stuttgart did not create that question, it just put it in capital letters. Fernandez is more dangerous on clay than her 2026 record suggested going in.
Does really well, and I think there's a lot of things that make her opponents feel very uncomfortable.
Her left-handed forehand produces exactly the kind of high-kicking ball that disrupts left-handed opponents at the contact point. Her 2022 French Open quarterfinal run was cut short only by a stress fracture. On clay, her defensive instincts sharpened. The ability to absorb pace and redirect it from behind the baseline, the exact skill set that made her a US Open finalist at 19, translates better on slow surfaces than on hard courts where raw power can override her game entirely. But one win does not erase what came before it. Fernandez is 5 wins and 9 losses in 2026, counting Stuttgart. One win over a player still finding her footing on clay does not signal a turnaround. It signals a tactical advantage in a specific matchup on a specific surface on a specific day. Fernandez now faces either Jasmine Paolini or qualifier Zeynep Sonmez in round 2. Paolini is the world number 8 and a clay court specialist who reached the Roland Garros final last season. That match will tell us far more about whether Fernandez has genuinely rediscovered something or whether Stuttgart was a one-week flash against a beatable opponent. The Madrid Open begins April 21st. Eala is already entered, so is Fernandez. Madrid is a WTA 1000 event, the biggest clay court tournament outside Roland Garros on the European swing. The points available dwarf Stuttgart. The field is deeper and the draw is unforgiving. For Eala, Madrid represents an immediate opportunity to respond to what Stuttgart revealed, but also an immediate risk of compounding the clay court narrative if the same vulnerabilities get exposed again. For Fernandez, Madrid is the first real examination of whether what she produced against Eala was a signal or a mirage. What Stuttgart revealed about this specific clash is something the preview articles completely missed. The conventional framing before the match was Eala as the ascending star and Fernandez as the faded name trying to stay relevant. That framing was always too simple. Fernandez at her best has always been a nightmare matchup for left-handed baseliners on slow surfaces. Eala at this stage is still building the clay court toolbox she needs to neutralize exactly that kind of opponent.
Absolutely, and that there's a certain stepladder that you have to go through before you get to elite sports, so it starts really in high school.
Stuttgart was not a clash between the future and the past. It was a clash between a player whose game is fully formed for this surface and a player whose game is still being constructed for it. That distinction matters for everything that follows. If these two players meet again on clay, and the Madrid draw could make that happen within 10 days, the dynamic walking onto the court will be completely different. Fernandez carries the psychological advantage of a convincing straight sets win. Eala carries the pressure of proving Stuttgart was a lesson absorbed rather than a pattern established. The crowd, the stakes, the ranking implications, all of it amplified. Rematches in tennis carry a specific weight. The player who lost the first meeting almost always understands the matchup more clearly going into the second. Eala now has footage, data, and a physical memory of exactly how Fernandez constructed those 63 winning points.
Alex is someone I get along very well with on and off the court. Again, another physical battle, but, obviously against the...
Fernandez won the battle. Whether she wins the war across this entire clay swing is a completely different question. The clash that could surprise tennis already has. What happens next in Madrid, in Rome, potentially at Roland Garros? That is where this story either becomes a rivalry worth tracking for years or fades into a footnote about one good week on indoor clay in southern Germany. Either way, this channel will be covering every moment of it. If you are not subscribed yet, do it right now. Hit the notification bell too, because when these two meet again on European clay, you want to be here for the breakdown the moment that final point lands.